Donald Trump. Donald Trump owns watches that actual collectors would murder for, so naturally he wears the one that looks like a gold brick strapped to his wrist. We're talking about a Patek Philippe Golden Ellipse and a Vacheron Constantin Historiques 1968, pieces that cost more than most people's cars. And what does Trump choose? A Rolex Day-Date in solid 18-karat yellow gold, the model literally nicknamed the President. Because Trump looked at his entire watch collection and thought, you know what? Not enough gold. The man could wear subtle haute horology that only watch nerds would recognize. Instead, he wears a watch so aggressively golden that people in the next zip code know he's rich. And it gets better. In 2024, Trump launched his own watch brand, the Trump Watches, with a flagship tourbillon model priced at $100,000. $100,000 for a watch that says Trump on the dial in massive gold letters. It's not horology. It's not craftsmanship. It's a wearable billboard for his ego. And people bought them. Because Trump isn't selling watches. He's selling the idea that if you wear something with his name on it, you're a winner too. It's the horological equivalent of buying a Lamborghini wrapped in gold chrome. Tasteful? No. Effective? Absolutely. But here's my favorite part. In 2025, Rolex invited Trump to the US Open as their guest of honor. Rolex, the Swiss watch company, while Trump was actively threatening Switzerland with tariffs. But Rolex looked at Trump's gold Day-Date and said, you know what? That's our guy. Because Trump has been walking free advertising for the Rolex president for 40 years. His entire family wears Rolex. Melania, Ivanka, Don Jr., Eric. It's the family uniform. When a Trump shows up, you're going to see gold. Here's the thing. Trump's watch isn't an accident. It's a weapon. He knows most people can't tell a Patek from a Casio, but everyone recognizes a gold Rolex. It screams money in a language everyone understands. Is it subtle? Hell no. Is it refined? Not even close. But while watch snobs are rolling their eyes at his lack of taste, Trump's closing real estate deals and winning elections. The Rolex Day-Date in yellow gold isn't just a watch. Its branding so effective, it's been working since 1985. Before we continue, hit subscribe, drop a like, and comment. Would you spend $100,000 on a watch with your own name on it? Because apparently we've dedicated our lives to judging rich people's wrists, and your support is literally the only thing keeping this operation alive. Vladimir Putin. Putin doesn't wear a watch. He wears a rotating collection estimated at well over $1 million that includes an A. Lange and Sona Turbograph Platinum, worth $500,000 to $560,000 alone, a Patek Philippe Perpetual Calendar at $60,000, multiple Blancpains, an F.P. Journe Chronometre Bleu at $100,000, a Breguet Marine at $15,000, an IWC, and probably a dozen other watches we don't even know about. This collection is worth more than 10 times his official presidential salary. But nobody's asking questions because in Russia, asking questions about Putin's finances is how you accidentally fall out of a window. But the stories are legendary. In 2009, Putin visited a construction site wearing a Blancpain. During the tour, he leaned over wet concrete and splash, the watch fell off his wrist and sank into the cement. His reaction? Nothing. Zero emotion. He just kept walking like dropping a $10,000 Swiss watch into wet concrete was a normal Tuesday. That Blancpain is still there, somewhere in that building, entombed in Russian concrete like a very expensive time capsule. Most people would panic. Putin didn't even blink. And then there's the gift giving. A few years later, Putin just started handing out Blancpains to random people. A shepherd he met in the mountains? Here, take this $10,000 watch. A factory worker who asked for one? Sure, why not? It's the ultimate power move. I have so many luxury watches that I can throw them in concrete or give them away to strangers. It's like Oprah, except instead of cars, it's five-figure Swiss timepieces. You get a Blancpain. You get a Blancpain. But here's the plot twist. Since the Ukraine invasion in 2022, Putin stopped wearing Swiss watches entirely. Now he only wears Russian-made Raketa watches. Because nothing says we're at war with the West, quite like ditching your Patek Philippe collection for state-manufactured Russian horology. Putin's watches aren't about telling time. They're about telling you who's in charge. Emmanuel Macron. Macron wears a Bell & Ross BRV 192 blue steel that costs €2,600 and managed to turn it into a national scandal. Not because it's too expensive, because he tried to hide it. Picture this. January 2020, live TV interview about pension reform. Millions of French people watching, and at some point during the broadcast, Macron quietly slips his watch off under the table and pockets it like he's ditching evidence. The cameras caught it. Twitter exploded. Why is the president hiding his watch? The French media went into full investigation mode, convinced he was wearing an €80,000 FP journ, which, during a discussion about making people work longer, would have been political suicide. Plot twist, it was just his €2,600 Bell& Ross. But the damage was done. Macron, president of France, former investment banker, leader of the fifth largest economy in the world, had to release an official statement confirming the exact model and price of his watch. Imagine having to publish a press release that basically says, "My watch only costs €2,600, I promise, please stop investigating." That's not leadership. That's damage control over a three-hand watch with a date window. And here's the best part. Macron had the watch customized with the presidential coat of arms on the caseback. So even when he's trying to be modest, he needs you to remember he's the president. It's the equivalent of driving a Toyota but getting a custom license plate that says, "I am DA boss." The Bell& Ross is French, by the way. Everything Macron wears is French. Watch, suits, shoes. It's patriotic branding. Except it backfired spectacularly because the one thing everyone learned is that Macron is so worried about public perception that he'll literally remove his watch on live television. The Bell& Ross says everything. Macron wants to seem elite but accessible, patriotic but modern, presidential but relatable. He wants to be all things to all people. And when you try to please everyone, you end up taking your watch off under a table while the cameras are rolling. Jinping. Xi Jinping has an estimated personal fortune of $1.5 billion, and he wears an Omega constellation from 1995 that costs $1,700. Let that sink in for a second. The most powerful man in Asia, leader of the world's second-largest economy, could buy a different Patek Philippe every day for a decade and still have money left over. Instead, he's walking around with a 30-year-old quartz Omega in stainless steel with a blue-gray dial. Not even an automatic movement. Quartz. The man is worth $1.5 billion, and he wears a battery-powered watch that costs less than a used MacBook. And here's why it's absolutely brilliant. In 2013, Xi launched a massive anti-corruption campaign across China, targeting extravagant displays of wealth among Communist Party officials. Luxury watches became enemy number one. Government officials were getting fired for wearing Mont Blancs worth $5,500. Not even haute horology, just mid-tier luxury. Fired. One guy lost his job because someone spotted his watch in a photo and reported it to the party. Meanwhile, Xi is out here in his $1,700 Omega acting like he's a humble servant of the people. The message is crystal clear. I am not corrupt. I am not decadent. I wear a modest watch because I am a man of the people. Never mind that his family owns property around the world and his daughters studied at Harvard under fake names. On camera? Omega Constellation Quartz 1995. It's propaganda disguised as a watch. While Trump screams, "Look how rich I am," Xi whispers, "Look how humble I am," while quietly accumulating more personal power than any Chinese leader since Mao. The Omega isn't just a watch, it's a political tool. It says, "I'm not one of those corrupt officials living in luxury. I'm different. I'm disciplined. I'm pure." And while he's wearing that $1,700 Omega, he's purging political rivals and consolidating power. It's theater, it's brilliant, and it's exactly why that modest Omega constellation might be the most powerful watch on this entire list. Volodymyr Zelensky. Zelensky used to be a Tag Heuer brand ambassador. Not just owned a Tag Heuer, he was literally their guy in Ukraine. $6,000 Carrera chronograph with a skeleton dial, official endorsement deal, the whole package. His financial disclosures read like a watch collector's dream. Rolex, Breguet, Beauvais. The man went from comedian to president and his wrist game was immaculate. Then Russia invaded in February 2022, and Zelensky looked at his luxury watch collection and said, "Yeah, these aren't going to work anymore." Now, when he appears in public, he's either completely bare-wristed or wearing a Kleinod. And if you've never heard of Kleinod, that's because it's Ukraine's only watch company, and they cost $220. After the invasion, Kleinod slapped Ukrainian battle insignias on everything and pivoted to full propaganda mode. Zelensky now hands these watches out to frontline soldiers like participation trophies, except instead of youth soccer, it's congratulations on not dying in a trench. Government photographers capture every handshake. The subtext is deafening. We make our own watches now. Switzerland can keep their luxury. Meanwhile, Putin, who we just talked about, switched from his $1,000,000 Swiss collection to Russian Raketa watches for the exact same patriotic theater, except Putin's humble Russian watches still cost $10,000 while Zelensky's cost $200. Putin gives Blancpains to random shepherds as flex moves. Zelensky gives Kleinods to soldiers who've been getting shelled for 6 months. One guy's doing performance art with 5-figure watches, the other guy's doing actual solidarity with watches that cost less than an iPhone. But the real genius move? Most of the time, Zelensky just doesn't wear a watch at all. Pre-war Zelensky showed up in suits with his tag heuer, looking like every other European president. Wartime Zelensky shows up in olive tactical gear with a bare wrist, basically saying, I don't have time to check what time. It is because my country is actively being invaded. When he walked into the White House with nothing on his wrist, half of Washington thought he forgot to get dressed. He didn't forget. That bare wrist was doing more work than anyone else's Patek Philippe. The Tag Heuer ambassador turned his wrist into a weapon, just not the kind Tag Heuer was expecting. Kim Jong-Un. Kim Jong-un wears an IWC Portofino in 18-karat rose gold worth $12,000, which would be unremarkable except for one small detail. That watch is illegal in North Korea. The UN banned luxury watch exports to North Korea in 2006 as punishment for nuclear weapons testing. Switzerland, neutral Switzerland, the country that won't pick sides in literally anything, looked at North Korea and said, "Yeah, no watches for you." And Kim's response was basically, "Cool story, I'll take the rose gold IWC." When you're a dictator with a $5 billion net worth, international sanctions are just really aggressive. Suggestions. But it gets better. Before the IWC, Kim was running around in a Movado museum. You know, the minimalist black dial with the single dot at 12 o'clock. Very Bauhaus, very sleek. Costs about $700. And when Western intelligence first spotted it, the consensus was, wait, is that a women's watch? The supreme leader of North Korea, heir to a dynastic dictatorship, was wearing what looked like something from a Nordstrom jewelry counter. So, Switzerland banned all watch exports to North Korea in 2016, and Kim had to upgrade his smuggling game. Now, the IWC Portofino arrives via the same network that gets him Mercedes Maybach limousines. Sanctions are adorable when you have smugglers on speed dial. And here's where it gets absolutely ridiculous. Intelligence agencies track Kim's health by zooming in on his watch. In 2021, analysts noticed the IWC bracelet looked tighter in state media photos. They compared images from different months and concluded he'd lost weight. When the guy disappears for weeks and his family has a history of heart disease, the CIA is literally measuring his wrist circumference through his watch band. Forget satellite imagery, forget informants. Just zoom in on the rose gold IWC and check if it's loose. That $12,000 watch isn't just banned, it's a health monitor for Western intelligence. The absolute absurdity is this. Kim lives in a country where most people can't afford watches, period. And when they can, it's a cheap Chinese quartz watch that tells time and nothing else. Meanwhile, Kim's up there wearing banned Swiss luxury while giving speeches about Western decadence and imperialist corruption. It's not just hypocrisy, it's hypocrisy wrapped in rose gold, smuggled past international sanctions, and monitored by the CIA. The IWC Portofino on Kim's wrist isn't a watch. It's a geopolitical middle finger with a power reserve. So which world leader had the most ridiculous watch? Let us know in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe for more videos like this one. Thanks for watching. We hope you enjoyed this video. Here's another one you'll love. As always, thanks for watching.